Some say the things we most desire are these: freedom to do exactly as we please, with no one to reprove our faults and lies, rather to have one call us good and wise. Truly, there's not a woman in 10 score whose has a fault and someone rubs the sore, but she will kick if what she says is true. You try it out, and you will find so too. However vicious we may be within, we like to be thought wise and void of sin. Others assert we women find it sweet when we are thought dependable, discreet, and secret, firm of purpose and controlled, never betraying things that we are told. But that's not worth the handle of a rake. Women conceal a thing for heaven's sake. Remember Midas? Will you hear the tale? Among some other little things now stale, Ovid relates that under his long hair the unhappy Midas grew a splendid pair of ass's ears, and subtly as he might, he kept his foul deformity from sight. Save his for his wife, there was not one that knew. He loved her best and trusted in her too. He begged her not to tell a living creature that he possessed so horrible a feature, and she swore, were all the world to win, she would not do such a villainy and sin as saddle her husband with so foul a name. Besides, to speak would be to share the shame. Nevertheless, she thought she would have died, keeping this secret bottled up inside. It seemed to swell her heart, and she, no doubt, thought it was on the point of bursting out. Fearing to speak of it to woman or man, down to a reedy marsh she quickly ran, and reached the sedge. Her heart was full all on fire, and as a bittern bumbles in the mire, she whispered to the water near the ground, betray me not, O water, with thy sound. To thee alone I tell it. It appears my husband has a pair of ass's ears. Ah, my heart's well again. The secret is out. I could no longer keep it, not a doubt. And so you see, although we may hold fast, a little while it must come out at last. We can't keep secrets, as for might as well read Ovid, for his story he will tell. This night that I am telling you about, perceived at last he never would find out what it could be that woman loved best. Faint was the soul within his sorrowful breast. As home he went, he dared no longer stay. His year was up, and now it was the day. As he rode home in a dejected mood, suddenly the margin of a wood he saw a dance upon the leafy floor of 4 and 20 ladies, say nay, and more. Eagerly he approached in hope to learn some words of wisdom ere he should return. But lo, before he came to where they were, dancers and dance all vanished into air. There wasn't a living creature to be seen, save one old woman crouched upon the green. A fouler looking creature, I suppose, could scarcely be imagined. She arose and said, Sir Knight, there's no way on from here. Tell me what you're looking for, my dear. For peradventure that were best for you, we old women know a thing or two. Dear mother, said the knight, alack the day, I am as glad as good as dead if I can't say what thing it is the women desire most desire. If you could tell me, I would pay your hire. Give me your hand, she said, and swear to do whate'er I shall next require of you. If so to do should lie within your right, your might, and you shall know the answer before the night. Upon my honor, he answered, I agree. Then said the crone, I dare to guarantee your life is safe. I shall make good my claim. Upon my life, the queen will say the name. Show me the very proudest of them all, in costly coverchief or jeweled call, that dare say no to what I have to teach. Let us go forward without further speech. And then she crooned her gospel in his ear, and told him to be glad and not to fear. They came to court this night in full array, stood forth and said, O queen, I've kept my day, and kept my word and have my answer ready. There sat the noble matrons, and the heady young girls, and widows too, that have a grace of wisdom, all assembled in the place. And there the queen herself was throned to hear and judge his answer. Then the knight drew near, and silence was commanded through the hall. The queen gave order he should tell them all what thing it was that women wanted most. He stood not silent like a beast or post, but gave his answer with the ringing word of man's voice, and the assembly heard. My liege and lady, in general, said he, a woman wants the same self sovereignty over her husband as over her lover, and master him. He must not be above her. That is your greatest wish. Whether you kill or spare me, please yourself, I wait your will. In the court, not one that shook her head or contradicted the word the knight had said. Maid, wife, and widow cried, he saved his life. And on the word, up startled the old wife, the one knight saw sitting on the green, and cried, your mercy, sovereign lady queen, before the court disperses, do me right. 'Twas I who taught the answer to the knight, for which he swore and pledged his honor to it, that first thing I asked of him, he'd do it, so far as it should lie within his might. Before this court, I ask you then, Sir Knight, to keep your word and take me for your wife, for well you know that I have saved your life. If this be false, deny it on your sword. Alas, said, old lady, by the Lord, I know indeed that such was my behest, but for God love, think of a new request. Take all my goods, but leave my body free. A curse on us, she said, if I agree. I may be foul, I may be poor and old, yet I will not choose to be for all the gold that's bedded in the earth or lies above, less than your wife, nay, than your very love. My love, said he, by heaven, my damnation! Alas, that any of my race and station should ever make so foul a misalliance. Yet in the end, his pleading and defiance all went for nothing. He was forced to wed. He takes his ancient wife and goes to bed. Now, peradventure, some may well suspect a lack of care in me, since I neglect to tell of the rejoicing and display, made but short an answer to let fall. I say there was no joy or feast at all. Nothing but heaviness of heart and sorrow. He married her in private on the morrow. All the day long stayed hidden like an owl. It was such torture that his wife looked foul. Great anguish turning in his head when he and she were piloted to bed. He wallowed back and forth in desperate style. His ancient wife lay smiling all the while. At last she said, bless us, is this, my dear, how knights and wives get on together here? Are these the laws of good King Arthur's house? Are knights of all his so contemptuous? I am your own beloved and your wife. I am she, indeed, that saved your life. And certainly I never did you wrong. Then why, this first of nights, so sad a song? You're carrying on as if your half were witted. I say, for God's love, what sin have I committed? I'll put things right if you will tell me how. Put right, he cried, that never can be now. Nothing can ever be put right again. You're old and so abominably plain, so poor to start with so low bread to follow, it's little wonder if I twist and wallow. God, that my heart would burst within my breast. Is that, said she, the cause of your unrest? Yes, certainly, and can you wonder? To set right what you suppose a blunder. That's if I cared to in a day or two, if I were shown more courtesy by you. Just now, she said, you spoke of gentle birth, such as descends from your ancient wealth and worth. If that's the claim you make for gentlemen, such arrogance is hardly worth a hen. Whoever loves to work for virtuous ends, public or and private, and who most intends to do what deeds of gentleness he can, take him to be the greatest gentleman. Christ wills we take our gentleness from him, not from wealth of ancestry long and dim, though they bequeath their whole establishment, by which we claim to be of high descent. Our fathers cannot make us bequest of all those virtues that become them best, and earned for them the names of gentlemen, but bade us follow them as best we can. Thus, the wise poet of the Florentines, Dante by name, has written in these lines: "For such is the opinion Dante launches, seldom arises by slender branches, prowess of men, for it is God, no less, wills us to claim of him our gentleness. Will For of our parents nothing we can claim save temporal things, and these may hurt and maim. But everyone knows this as well as I, for if gentility were implanted by the natural course of lineage down the line, public or private, could it cease to shine in doing the fair work of gentle deed, no vice or villainy could then bear seed. Take fire and carry it to the darkest house between this kingdom and the Caucasus, and shut the doors on it and leave it there. It will burn on, and it will burn fair, as if 10,000 men were there to see, for fire will keep its nature and degree. I can assure you, sir, until it dies. But gentleness, as you recognize, is not annexed in nature to possessions. Men fail in living up to their professions, but fire never ceases to be fire. God knows you'll often find, if you inquire, some lording full of villainy and shame, if you would be esteemed for the mere name of having been by birth a gentleman, and stemming from the virtuous noble clan, and do not live yourself by gentle deed, or take your father's code and creed. You are no gentleman, though duke or earl. Vice and bad manners are what make a churl. Gentility is only the renown for bounty that your fathers handed down, quite foreign to your person, not your own. Gentility must come from God alone. That we are gentle comes to us by grace, and by no means is it bequeathed with place. Reflect how noble, says Valerius, was Tullius, surnamed Hostilius, who rose from poverty to nobleness, and read Boethius, Seneca, no less. Than they express themselves and are agreed. Gentle is he that does a gentle deed. And therefore, my dear husband, I conclude that even if my ancestors were rude, yet God on high, and so I hope he will, can grant me grace to live in virtue still. A gentle woman only when beginning to live in virtue and shrink from sinning. As for my poverty, which you reprove, Almighty God Himself, in whom we move, believe and have our being, chose a life of poverty in every man or wife. Nay, every child can see our heavenly King would never stoop to choose a shameful thing. No shame in poverty if the heart is gay, as Seneca all has learned to say. He who accepts his poverty unhurt, I'd say, is rich, although he lacked a shirt. But truly poor are they who whine and fret and cover what they cannot hope to get. And he that having nothing covets not is rich, though you may think he is a sot. True poverty can find a song to sing. Juvenal says, a pleasant little thing. This poor can dance and sing in relief of nothing, having nothing that will tempt a thief. Though it be hateful, poverty is good, a great incentive to a livelihood, and great help to our capacity for wisdom if accepted patiently. Poverty is, though wanting in estate, a kind of wealth that does not calumniate. Poverty often, when heart is lowly, brings one to God and teaches what is holy, gives knowledge of oneself, and even lends a glass by which to see one's truest friends. And since it's no offense, let me be plain, do not rebuke my poverty again. Lastly, you taxed me with being old, yet even you never had been told by ancient books you gentlemen engage yourselves in honor to respect the old age. To call old men father shows good breeding, and this could be supported by from my reading. You say I am old and fouler than a fen. You need not fear to be a cuckold then. Filth and old age, I'm sure you will agree, are powerful wardens over chastity. Nevertheless, well knowing your delights, I shall fulfill your worldly appetite. You have two choices. Which one will you try? To have me old and ugly till I die, but still a loyal, true, and humble wife that never will displease you all her life? Or would you rather I were young and pretty? A chance your arm, what happens in a city when your friends will visit you because of me? Yes, and in other places too, maybe. Which would you have? The choice is all your own. The night that long with a piteous groan, at last he said, with all the care in life, my lady and my love, my dearest wife, I leave the manner to your wise decision. You make the choice yourself for the provision of what may be agreeable and rich, in honor us to us both. I don't care which. Whatever pleases you suffices me, and have I won the mastery, said she, since I'm to choose and rule as I think fit. Certainly, wife, he answered her, that's it. Kiss me, she cried, no quarrels, on my oath, and word of honor you shall find me both. That is, both fair and faithful as a wife. May I go howling mad and take my life, unless I prove to be good and true as ever a wife was since the world was new. If tomorrow, when the sun's above, I seem less than any lady love, than any queen or empress, east or west, do with my life and death as you think best. Cast up the curtain, husband, look at me. And when indeed the knight had looked to see, lo, she was young and lovely, rich in charms. In ecstasy he caught her in his arms. His heart went bathing in a bath of blisses, and melted in 100,000 kisses. And she responded in the fullest measure with all that could delight or give him pleasure. So they lived ever after to the end in perfect bliss, and may Christ send us husbands meek and young and flesh and fresh in bed, and grace to overbid them when we would. And Jesu, hear my prayer, cut short with lives of those who won't be governed by their wives. All old, angry niggards of their pence, God send them soon a very pestilence.